Thank you so much for being here today. I'm very excited to share with you some insights that have unfolded as part of my journey. I know I've been given a clicker, but I have no slides. So I'm like, I can use my little magic stuff. So you heard some of my story yesterday if you were here, and I'm so delighted to get this opportunity to share, because what you heard was maybe I got to sound healing, and I was a sound therapist, and I brought singing bowls to Ireland and became the singing bowl girl, and was up on stage and talking and sharing and doing gong bats, all that magic. And it was amazing. But I was still pretty stuck, things were still not shifting as well as I wanted to. And my practice was building, and I was in flow, certainly in flow, but it wasn't like the flow that really should have been happening, because just like exactly what everything has been talked about this weekend is about doing the inner work. And we've done a lot of inner work together, but I know personally you've probably done a lot too. So I did a lot as well. And it just doesn't ever end, is the good news. But when we do all of that inner work, we're expecting really dramatic changes. And sometimes they come. And a lot of the time, they do come. So I set up my practice, and I was working as a therapist, clearing people's shit, basically, throwing out that trauma, that crap. And it was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And I loved it. But I wasn't really making much money. I was still cycling around Dublin with my bag of singing bowls, and I was living pretty much day to day, essentially. I was focused on attracting my soulmate as well, so my business wasn't kind of my main priority, but I still obviously needed to eat and live and pay my rent. And then what happened was I ended up going to a talk, as you do, one of these talks, and it was an amazing speaker about Feng Shui. And it was, the penny dropped. It was like, oh my God, this is it. So we are talking about keeping our vibration high, keeping our vibe high, dancing, embodying. We can't attract a high vibe tribe unless we are high vibe. We're doing all of this energy work. The thing is, our energy is like boom, 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 raise up, 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 amazing. The problem is that when we found our homes or found the environment that we live in then, we actually like attracts like. This is where we're at. We're absolutely, completely aligned. The energy of the place that we live in is and our offices and all of that, total magnets to where we were. We've been doing all this work, inner work, inner work, inner work, but then we go home. And the house is a very dense physical manifestation. It is so full, powerful, dense manifestation. And it's heavy, man. It's heavy. Because not only are we living at the resonance of the premises, and we're doing all this work, and we're like, why is it so hard? What? I have my funnels done. I have done all the inner work, and I'm still not there. What's going on? I was essentially the singing bowl girl. I was in the papers. When everyone wanted to buy singing bowls, they came to me, but it still wasn't happening. I was like, what is going on with this? I'm the person for this work. And so this amazing talk, really, I took all the notes about attracting love, because that's what my focus kind of mainly was. And I set my bedroom up for love. I was like, I am ready for love. And I got everything set up in that apartment for love. But then, and it worked. So inner work plus creating the space worked. A few months later, I met Ken, and it was amazing, and still is. I thought, oh, I've just used it for love. Can I use it for other parts of my life? And that's the best part, because your environment, first of all, is a mirror for you, but your inside environment mirrors your outside environment. And every single part of your home has a specific part, reflects a part of your life and your business. So if you think about your home like it's a person, and you start thinking about your home it's like your best friend. So I don't know, when you go into your apartment or your home, does your heart rise up and you're like, I'm so happy to be home. I love this place. I am so grateful for it. It's like the exact same practices that we talk about for doing for ourselves, that when we start doing that for our environment, that it really makes such a difference, because you start getting this sense of gratitude, this sense of energy uplift, and the walls have ears. So think about this. Your home is like a person. It has eyes, your windows. So if your windows are dirty, make sure to clean them because you can't see out. If you can't get in your front door, you don't use your front door, that's the mouth. That's where the energy comes in. That's how your home is being fed. So how your energy, how the chi, the money, the good stuff, the energy, the abundance comes in. So you open up your front door, there's a struggle to get in. Is there a struggle going on with your life? Is it hard to open the door? All of these, every single nuance of what's going on in your physical environment is reflecting exactly back into your own life. Now, that's and I'm happy to, I think we'll look at the time and we'll go through loads of different things you can do, because I know Janine said to me, Joanna interviewed me for her mastermind group, and she said, oh my God, instantly I made these small tweaks. So each part of your home has a specific resonance. So mirrors a different part of your life. So just like it's a person, it has organs. So if our heart stopped beating, we won't be here. Or we'd be like, in cardiac arrest. Or our lungs. Like each one of them has a job. And each part of your home has a job. So these areas relate to love and marriage. Now I'm going to talk about them from a personal perspective, but then a business perspective. So from a personal perspective, it is, you've got love and marriage. But from a business perspective, that's your business relationships. That's the people you work with on a day-to-day basis. That's your team. It's all of your connections. So if your love and marriage area is not happy, neither is your relationships with your clients or with yourself or with calling in the one. Your prosperity area. If your prosperity area is missing, which it can be, and just think back to that, what I said, where you were energetically when you found your place. So you've been clearing your money blocks, you have, but your house hasn't cleared its money blocks. Your house has the same consciousness. It has back them old money block stuff. So it's this tug of war. It's like you're like, like you take a step forward and then it's like 2 steps back. You're like, but I thought I made the money. So the prosperity area is in the southeast part of your home, if anyone's like taking notes. The prosperity area, this is the space where it's not just your own personal financial abundance, but it's the abundance of friends and family and all the good things in your life. It's absolutely all those different parts. We can look at the career area, the north, your career, like life's journey. Every part of your home has specific resonance to you and to what's going on. Now, there's lots of different schools of thought when it comes to Feng Shui. And for me, what happened was my clients were getting these great results with the releasing all the trauma and stuff. But of course, they were walking back into the same environment. And when I brought Feng Shui into my practice for them, it was like, finally, I can understand why. So how does this work? So again, when we think about, I said, your house is like a person. Start becoming its best friend, be grateful for it, but also it has a specific personality. And no matter, and this is where I see with a lot of entrepreneurs, because no matter how much money you spend on funnels, how much inner work you do, if your house has a specific personality, it is going to be a very tough ride. 4 personalities. One personality is good for people, good for money. And Annie bets you can just sit there and think about somebody who has a house that's good for people, good for money. They usually drive a pretty decent car. They usually have a really, because I did a lot of in-person clients when I first started, you'd come to the driveway and I'd be like, oh, they've got their gardens manicured, they've got a nice car, it's all kind of nice. And these people are doing the inner work and they just want a little boost in their life. They're like, things could just be a little bit better. Doesn't mean that they don't have major struggles in their life. There can be some struggles because one of those organs, one of those areas could be just a bit off, that she could just not be right and might be missing an area or something. So you go to that house and you're like, oh, those people are usually the worst at putting in remedies because things are usually pretty good. And they're like, they're great clients because they're like, yeah, here's the money. I just want to make things better. Second house is good for people, bad for money. And these are the ones where, and I have several clients like this who their houses, they're the happiest family and they're like all about the love and the joy and everything is good, but there's no money. It's like, it's always a struggle for money. It's like always this tough thing. And you could be thinking back going, is my house like this? Was this the house that I grew up with? Was this the type of energy that was going on? God, we'd such a loving family. But like everything was just a bit off with the money. The third house is bad for people and good for money. And one house comes into mind. This lady I was doing a distance Feng Shui with, and she's in Washington. And I just really look at the plans first, so I don't see the aesthetics of the house. And I could see this was a huge house. Like it was a super, 6,000 square foot house on several levels. And I'm like, oh, you could just put this remedy in this place. And she's like, what, under the baby grand? And I'm like, okay. Her house was good for money. Like they seriously had no money issues. Like it was all about the money. But their maid had been robbing them for 4 years. They were on the brink of divorce, and their kids fought all the time. So it was a nightmare for her living in this house. She was like, we have all this money, but I'm fucking so miserable, like so miserable. And the nice thing about that is now she's like, she's like, my vision board is coming to reality. We get on so much better. The kids, the bickering has gone from like 100% to 10%, which is normal. You know, she's like, life is just easier. We all get on. We are happier in our home. So that's the third personality. And the fourth one is bad for people, bad for money. Bad for people, bad for money is like a scary situation. And those people that come to me at that level are on the brink. They are like, this is my last resort. Like, my life is falling apart. And it's really, really tricky. Like, and a lot of times when I'm talking to them, even beforehand, or I get their questionnaire before I've even done any analysis, because, you know, we talk about Feng Shui and you hear this whole woo-woo and New Age. I'm sorry, Feng Shui is 5,000 years old. It is ancient. It is like nothing New Age about this practice. So when we're talking about, so her house is bad for people, bad for money, and it's just this real struggle. And when they're even talking to me, or I see their reports, I'm like, oh shit, like we just need, like, and most of the time when I see that I'm like, just send me this information straight away. Like this minute I need this certain information to create their reports and to give them like, this is what you do. So it's so powerful. And that one lady, she had her business, one comes to mind, and the line that came in her questionnaire was like, we bought our dream home and everything has fallen apart since we moved in here. And their dream home was this, and honestly, if you saw the picture, because aesthetically, your house could be beautiful. Interior design doesn't really matter unless you have someone like Rachel. So it doesn't actually matter because the aesthetics, for me, I'm not bothered about the furniture. I'm not going to tell you to throw out your stuff. I'm definitely not going to tell you to paint your whole house white. I'm all about the energy. It's all about the energy. But this woman bought her dream house. The picture was this beautiful house. It was like, what's it that the chocolate house with all the godmother house. I'm thinking of like a nursery, the rhyme or the story, the fairy tale, the gingerbread house. But it was just like this little gingerbread house up in the mountains with the trees around and by the river. It was so magical looking, and I could imagine, because if I walked and saw that house, I'd be like, I want that house too. But it was bad for people, bad for money. It was in a lock for 20 years, bad for people. So it was like all the crap stuff that could happen was basically this house. Again, they were completely on the brink of divorce. Her business was completely failing. And her kids didn't want to come home. They stayed at their friend's house all the time. They didn't want to come home. So I got straight on the phone to her and I'm like, okay, we need to do some serious work on this. And that year, from 19,000 the previous year, she made 100,000 in her business. She actually sold that house. Her husband and her are back on great terms, and they bought a new house which was good for people, good for money, because energetically they had risen the vibration of the house that they were living in. And they were able to attract something that was good for people, good for money. And when they moved into their new house in that transition, because I had been onto her, I was like, hey, you're moving house, like, get that information into me. And then I saw a post from her and she'd like hurt her hand. And I was like, get the information to me ASAP. And literally as I was messaging her, apparently her son and her husband were in the car and this 7-year-old son said, Mama needs to get the Feng Shui done for this new house. You know, and the ripple effect of this and of doing your external environment is that it's not just for you. It's not just for your business. It's actually for everybody. So it's the kids win, the relationship wins, the money, it's all good. So one client had a specific remedy to put in her career area because she's like, I need to sort my career out. The next day, 3 things happened. Now, it totally depends on where you're at your personal journey, because it's like when you're ready, it's like, and you put the remedy in, it's like, whoa, you know? So she put in a fire. So we work with the elements. And she had to put some fire remedy into her bedroom. So she put a purple throw on her bed. Like, that's how simple some of the things are. Don't go putting a purple throw on your bed because it's not, it's everything is specific. But she put the purple throw on her bed, and her son won a scholarship the next day worth $70,000. She got a job, or got brought onto the board of advisors in the local university for women's business advisors. And her husband got a whole new business contract the next day. I can't make this stuff up. Like, I wish I could. Like, I couldn't even, sometimes when they come back to me and I'm like, oh my God, like, seriously, that just happened? Because it's beyond your wildest dreams. When you've been doing that personal work and then you bring the environment to align it, it's absolutely magic. Now, the other part of that is that the personal development journey doesn't end. And it's a beautiful interaction, because if you haven't done the work on, say, your prosperity area and worked on the money blocks area, and you've put that specific remedy in, oh, then you got to do the work, because that's when it comes up. And it's like, you got to face this. So it's a two-way journey. If you haven't done the work and you put the remedy in, it makes you do it, and it makes you. It's a journey. And one of my clients messaged me the other day, and she was like, "It's like a yoga, you know. It's like you are just learning and becoming involved with your environment all the time, and your house starts to speak to you, because things can be off." A couple of months ago, we were in Bali, and Joanna is the house that you stayed in with us, and we had a leak in our kitchen. Leaks as like finances dripping away, and I was having this like, and it happened to be in our helpful people and travel area, so it was so hard to get the builder to come and fix it, because it was like it's broken in that area. So we couldn't get someone to fix it, and I was like, Ken, there's something, we need to get it fixed. It's our finance, because like, you know, we know, and we're like, this is really bad. So every morning we would wake up and there would be this flood of water out in the kitchen, and I'm like, money, bloody. And he goes, and we had this friend staying, not Joanna, and we had this other woman staying with us, and she had a lot of emotional issues going on when she was staying with us. And I just went, oh my God, she just needs to sort her shit out. Like, seriously, she needs to face it and get herself sorted, blah, blah, blah. Of course, I totally passed the blame over to her. And about 2 days later, I'm having a session with one of my therapists. We're having a little bit, and she goes, it's just some stuff had been going on with my dad at home, and he hadn't been well. And she's like, you know, it's okay if you cry. And I went, ah! And I cried. And I went, oh my God, the house has been crying for me for the last 2 weeks. Because I totally passed it on over to my friend. It was not her at all. It was me. And somebody needed an emotional release. I needed it. The next day, I came to fix the leak. And I'm like, oh, that was easy. But it starts talking to you. So it's a very, very, very unique practice. And it's a perfect integration of all of the work. Because when you know what area is in your life. So for example, you want to attract new clients, or you need to get some new staff in, you work on your helpful people and travel area. You work on finding that space that resonates with it. And then you activate it. So how does Feng Shui work in layers, and what would my best tips be? The first thing I would say to you is start sprinkling gratitude on your home. So literally when you start going in, just being like, I love this place. I just love it. I'm so grateful for this, you know, and if we just think about the fact that we have homes to go to, we have a bed to sleep in. You know, I live in Indonesia. It's a developing country. There is so much poverty around us, and we see it here on the streets. We have homes. We're so lucky. And just saying to your home, I'm so grateful. And then start to walk around your space and just look at everything and being like, do I love that couch? Do I love that armchair? I love that cushion. Brie loves her pink couch. Like Jesus, like that pink couch, and it's an awesome couch. But seriously, like that sense of energy is so powerful, because when you fill your environment with what you love, with what you absolutely love, it's gonna love you back. So every single thing, does it spark joy? Is it a gift from somebody that I don't really like? Is it being there? Is it taking up as a placeholder? You know, is it actually a placeholder? Is it just like hanging on the wall because it needs to be there? It doesn't need to be there. I would prefer to have a completely empty home and just fill it incrementally with stuff that I love, than have stuff sitting there that doesn't spark joy. So decluttering is a huge thing. And you know, there's we were talking yesterday about the Marie Kondo's books, The Magic Art of Tidying Up. So powerful, just releasing the stuff that you have that no longer serves you, that doesn't reflect where you are going in life. And this is a huge one, especially for your offices, and actually in general for your home. But if you have stuff in your home that is linked to the past, and I see it a lot in people's businesses and their offices. I was working with one of Tony Robbins' major coaches, and she works for Tony, and then she has her own business. And her office, we just did her desk like a couple of weeks ago, and her desk was like squished in the corner. And I was like, okay, we need to move this out, we need to change this. And I'm like, show me the books. And she is like, her personal development, which is what she teaches and what she coaches, are like jammed into the small corners. You can't even see them. And right in front of her, because she's a really gourmet chef, right in the corner is like all this bookshelf of all of her cookery books. She doesn't cook anymore. She has nothing to do with that business. And she's like, that's the first thing she sees every day. I'm like, you need to get rid of those cookery books. Like, keep the ones that you want and bring them into your kitchen where you cook. Put the things in your office that resonate with where you are going in your business and what you want. You know, put your vision board up. Make sure that you have a strong wall behind you. And I don't know if I'm going to get a chance to talk about Feng Shui for your office as much as I wanted to. This is my website. There's an ebook there with like everything you can do to sort out your office. I know that some people have had success already, just started, like from Joe's thing about shifting their office around. But make sure you can see the door, that you have a strong wall behind you, a good chair. Like honestly, are you sitting on a chitty little wooden chair that's like wobbly? That's really unstable. There's no support. Having a good office chair, you are the CEO of your business. You need to sit in a chair that is firm, that you're like, I am the boss. Like, I've got this. And a desk, the same. I remember being interviewed for a podcast a few years ago, and the lady was like, I have this desk and I'm jammed into the corner, and I have I'm like, tell me about what's your thing, because we're doing this podcast interview, and her mind is going on overdrive, and I feel like my business is going nowhere, and I'm like, well, your desk is wedged into a corner, you cannot see where you're going, like turn it around. And I said, turn it around, tell me what you can see. She's like, the kids' toys, suitcases, my husband's crap, his golf clubs. I was like, get that stuff out. Like, get their stuff out. And I know it's different if you work from your kitchen table, or I have a client whose office, and she's a super successful business, her office is in her bedroom. And I was like, you know what, you just need to create a boundary with it. Create clear boundaries around where you work and where you are off and how you enjoy it. So, her desk was wedged into the corner. And this gave me just an analogy that I'd like to leave you with for when it comes to your office space. But if your business was a clothes shop, for example, how would you style your clothes shop? How would you have it organized? Would you have other people's stuff in your clothes shop? Like, how would you present yourself to the world? Your office needs to reflect your business. It needs to reflect your personality. It also needs to be organized and beautiful and spark joy, because that's where you create from, that's where you make money from, that's where you do your work from. It's so important. So making sure that your environment is set up to support you and that it's not going against you. So you're in flow all the time. So I talked about decluttering, and it is a really important practice. There's just one element of decluttering that can get quite tricky, and it's that we are very emotionally attached to our stuff. Very emotionally attached to our stuff. But don't underestimate the fact that, and it's interesting because Ken is also a Feng Shui consultant, and he works with me in the business. And he came to Feng Shui when he was going through his own personal transformation in his mid-20s. And what he says to me is that really when he started letting go of the stuff on the outside, it was able to let it go on the inside. So if there's something that you're holding on to, because first of all, you've probably worked hard to earn that money, to invest in it. If you're like me, when I buy things, I put a lot of emotional energy into buying things, like especially my clothes. I find it really difficult. I just like, I love this, and I've thought about it, and I've put this, and then it's like, comes to a phase where it's like, I'm time to let it go. So look at these things that you're holding on to and go, does it reflect where I'm going in my life? Does it reflect a part of me that I don't want to have anymore, that I don't want to be attached to anymore? You know, I had all these dresses that got decluttered by accident, by my mom. This beautiful section of gorgeous designer dresses that every year I'd invest in like 2 or 3 pieces that were like, and I'm like, these are for my children. I'm going to have these dresses. And my mum brought them to the charity shop. But they had been hanging in her wardrobe for 4.5 years. I had never looked for them, touched them, because I literally had got rid of everything. So I decluttered everything when I moved to India. 42 pairs of shoes, 10 black bags of stuff, everything. And honestly, that decluttering and a relationship, when I decluttered all that stuff, it was like the world opened up. And you see how I told you everything went in flow? That's it, what happened. I decluttered, I let go of everything. My job, my job, my car. I actually wrote off my little BMW, like I had everything. I had the beautiful Seaview apartment, BMW, all the nice stuff. I had it all. And when I got rid of all of that and decided to move to India, everything came into alignment. It was like, whoa. I didn't really do much personal development work at that time. I just decluttered a load of crap. So it's a really double whammy of letting go. When my mom got rid of those dresses, I didn't realize it until maybe about 6 to 8 months later, and I was back in my hometown, and I just like was going, "Hey, do you have those dresses? I want to see if they fit me or what's going on with them." And she's like, "You told me to declutter. You told me to get rid of them." And I'm like, No, I was talking about those ball gowns, Mom. Like, not the ones that we had, like, when we used to go to, like, graduations and stuff. She's like, oh, no, they were gone ages ago. I was talking the other ones. And I'm like, my DVFs. My Vivians. And I'm like, just breathe. And, you know, I teach this every single day. And that was the biggest lesson of my life about decluttering. Because thousands. She's like, and I went, okay, it's okay. The thing is, when you let go of stuff, you make space for brand new, amazing stuff. Okay, this one. So it's a really, really good practice to think about, you know, if you're holding on to it. And for me, it was, you know, the lessons you learn, you teach them. And I really needed to learn that one. And it gave me so much respect for that emotional side of letting go. So if I leave you with anything today, just make sure your environment sparks joy. Make sure that you are really mindful with what you hold in your space and let go of. You know, if it's like relationships you want to welcome in, let go of the stuff related to ex-relationships. You know, I had one client recently, she was on a call and she's like, yeah, I'm just going to move the wedding dress out of the wardrobe. And I was like, what? Don't you want to attract love? She's like, oh, it was my wedding dress from like 15 years ago. I was like, you need to get rid of that. Literally 2 days later, she messaged me, she's like, my love life has just gone off the Richter scale. I'm like, yes. You got rid of the stuff, you got rid of the attachments. So declutter what sparks joy, and get the ebook so you can get your office sorted out. Make sure it's all feels good. Thank you so much for being here. I'm very grateful. I'm a total open book when it comes to questions, so if you have any questions, come and talk to me. I have no time left. Sorry.
We're making time.
They're making time.
Thank you. Oh, hello. Thank you so much. That was really great. My question is, what happens if you have a spouse who is more of a, I don't want to say hoarder, but if they want to continue to hold on to their many, many blessings from the past?
Mm-hmm. My practice around that is be the change you want to see in the world. So you just have to show up and do your thing, and be patient, send compassion. And I had this exact thing happen with Ken because he built our house, but that was before I met him. Everything, and it's right across from his parents. So basically everything from his childhood, everything got moved in and put up in the attic. It was I kept decluttering my own stuff and I was getting rid of it and getting rid. And then all of a sudden, one morning I was like, we actually stayed in our pajamas all day decluttering. I was like, we need to tackle this attic because your attic is pressure on your shoulders. It's coming down on you. It's like a weight on your shoulders. So clearing your attic will you'll feel this weight lifted. But we spent a whole day decluttering because I had been doing it myself. And then it was he really twigged to it. And the next day, he was like a new person. Genuinely, I have never seen him so energetic and yes, let's go do more. Was like, oh my God, who's this alien? So be the change. Be the change you want to see in the world. Just keep doing it yourself.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you.
Hello, I have a question. I live in a rented furnished apartment.
Yeah.
So it's short term, and the lady we rented from, there is stuff from her, and I put it away, but I can't get rid of it.
Yeah.
And what would be your best recommendation for that?
I would say, and this is another element, is do a space clearing. So all the tools are here: sound, sage, rose water, Florida water. Just do a space clearing around her stuff and put a bubble of light around it and be like, we'll just leave you there in the corner in a little bubble. Just protect that energy away from you. Do a space clearing. Sorry, I didn't mention that. Really important practice to actually do a space clearing to clear the stuff out. So if you don't know what that is, I can talk to you about it later on. But.
Okay, thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
So my office, actually, the backdrop from where my Zoom is actually in the southeast corner of my house, which is prosperity. So I'm just wondering if there's any tips that you have on that.
So your prosperity area, it's actually irrelevant where the space is. What we work with is energizing that space. So it doesn't really matter where it is. Some people's love and marriage area is in their toilet. And they're like, it's in the toilet. I'm like, doesn't mean your relationship is in the toilet. That does not mean that. It just means that when we work with the energy, we have to align it. We have to be practical, where is your toilet? So for your question, for your prosperity area, definitely bring in, there's a really nice practice of having a bowl of coins, and filling it up with coins. So it's overflowing abundance. Bring in some lucky bamboo or some jade plants. Make sure it's clean. Don't keep your garbage can there. And if your garbage can has to be there, empty it regularly. So it's always being cleared. And what else for your prosperity area? Keeping it clear is really important. Writing your intentions. When you know what that area is, write your intentions. This is I am, you've done your work in your abundance. What are your affirmations? Write them down in the present tense. I am grateful for, the prosperity for these clients. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
So my question might be a bit different. I'm a digital nomad, so I am constantly changing my environment, traveling around. So would you have, would your tips be the same, or would they be different when it
Oh
comes
my God,
to...
I totally have to make a pack for like digital nomads because I keep being asked this question. But there is, what I would say is like definitely have some kind of small sound instrument, like a bell or a little chime or something that you can space clear. I'd also say bring some sage or have some incense that you can just shift the energy from them. Set a powerful intention that you're only going to attract places that have positive energy. Like that's a really powerful thing because you'll only end up attracting more of that in then. So again, you could look at, my mind is on overdrive of like what I could create for that because I'm like, you could have like little affirmations for each coin or different things. But yeah, mainly it's going to be the intentional, like be really powerful with your intention, make sure the space is clear, and, you know, bring some extra little touches. Like I remember listening to Lisa Nichols talking one day about how she's on the road all the time and she brings like a little candle, she has her small little altar, like she sets up her space to feel like home. So for us in Bali, like we brought like some of our wedding gifts with us, like a blanket and a rug, just to make it feel like homey. So it might be like, I'm bringing extra stuff, but just bring some small things that like make it feel, I'm home now. Like if it's like a shawl that you have to put at the end of your bed, make it just feel like, I'm home. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Full of rocks. I'm the same, yeah. Cool, thank you so much. Thank you.